This is bull. This is about almost 1 year to the day. 1 year to the day that I started the refit. And now we're gonna start these. Oh, look what I noticed. We put the boxes together, they actually like kind of line up. Ain't that fantastic? Well, we're gonna actually start building those. This is the beginning of a new series, and if you actually stick around more than 5 minutes, probably guarantee it, you will not be around for the next 5. But if you make it past after that, yeah, you rock, and hopefully you stick around. So, like I said, start a new series. This time we're going from the very big to the very small. We're going to do these two at the same time, the Reliant and the Enterprise, the 1000 scale. They will be lighted. There will be some modifications. There will be some photo etch. There will be some detail painting. The only problem is there won't be any guacamole. So that fucking sucks. You gotta have good guacamole. And by the way, I want to also start off. This build series is actually going to be dedicated to Boyd Crompton over at TrekWorks. From the time of me shooting this right now, apparently he passed away about a little over a week ago. His channel TrekWorks is what actually inspired me to build the giant 350, which has been my favorite freaking Enterprise, and to have one of those things just on display is pretty freaking awesome. But his method of showing how it's done kind of simplifies on how to take the granddaddy of a kit like that and pretty much you can do it yourself, and also how to do stuff model building on a budget where you don't need to have shelves full of all kinds of Tamiyas and all this and that and that and this that, which is kind of like what I do too. So that way, you know, anybody can do it. So, and of course, I built the 350. You know, yeah, it wasn't model show quality, but it was damn nice with having basic shit. So, anyways, kind of the same premise with these two, except now we're gonna have to deal with the very small. So there's gonna be some differences from the 350, obviously. Some other things we're gonna have to do. So let's just get rolling right into the builds. The way I'm planning on doing these series is that we're gonna do, like, the first half of the video will probably be some of the Enterprise, and the last half of the video will be kind of like the same thing but on the Reliant side, so we can kind of finish them both together, so you know that we're using the same kind of materials, whether it's glues, putties, paints, electrical, yada 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 yada. So anyways, I already have my parts already kind of drying from being washed with hot water and Dawn soap to get rid of the mold release agent. So I'm going to bring them over here and we're going to just go ahead and see where we will start at. Off. So I think we're going to start with is one of the things I noticed on these parts, like the bigger ones, is if we're going to light it, we need to light the windows. But unlike the refit of the 350, where there are already holes for it, you just got to clean them out, there's no holes. Now it's for the secondary hole and the neck and the spots on the front of the cells here. They have like indentations where there should be a hole but not there, but on the saucer there is none of that. It's just smooth. It's almost as smooth as the TOS version. So if you get the photo etch part from Paragraphics, they have included on here are these 3 sections right here. They're basically kind of like a stencil for the saucer. So you're just going to have to lay it out one at a time, and then you're going to have to drill out these holes using the stencil yourself. So now keep in mind, these holes here are really small. They're really, really tiny. And the smallest bit that I have for a pin vise is too large. So going back, if you remember during when I did my refit, I used these little motherfuckers. These things are basically for rotary tool. You get them over at Harbor Freight. You'll find them in the rotary tool section. Basically, they're stuff you'd use for a Dremel. Even though I would not put the stuff on a Dremel because these little bits are like hair thin. I mean, you can look at it and you can probably, if you focus hard enough, probably snap it. So I prefer to use these just by hand, by twisting it. So, an example is, just pull off an easy piece. But yeah, I'll just actually leave the sprue on. And find an appropriate size. And the way you do that is just by putting it in the hole. And just kind of do it by hand. Which is going to be asinine and tedious, but hey, hope it'll work. That was one. Matter of fact, just by looking at it, I can go one size bigger. So that's why I say kind of go to one of the smallest ones and then just take a look at it. The bigger the opening, you know, you're going to have more light to see it because these holes are very thin. But it will go through no problem. But be careful using one of these. Don't push too hard because you can just snap this thing. Good thing, these little things, this kit is only about $7, $8. Really affordable. So it's not like, holy fuck, my thing. You just go get another one. Heck, buy two just in case. That's what I did. Yeah, I'm happy with that. In case you're wondering, I'm using the light green one, whatever the heck that is. They have these things color coded, so sometimes they're kind of different, but like I said, just line them up in a hole and figure out what you want. So basically, I'm going to have to go through all these holes in the neck and in here and wherever, also in the saucer down here, just to deal with that. And also where there's, as I see right here, there's no holes for the strobe lights and navigation lights, so we're going to have to do that too. So I'm going to just do right now off camera for the Enterprise is the holes that, you know, for the windows that you can actually see. And then these ones here, they actually have nubs, and we'll figure out how to do that. So as I come back from this transition, that part will be done. That's kind of like a fucking ordeal. So I got my holes kind of drilled out through here and onto the neck, kind of hard to see. So what I kind of found out when doing these, you got to pay attention a little bit on the inside wherever there's like a tab, because sometimes where there's going to be a window, there'll be a tab in front of it. So like over here on the neck on the front, there's a window there. I just went ahead and just, you know, cut it out. I mean, this thing is technically a snap tight, but you know, it's we're going to glue it. So, and there's a lot of it that has to be done kind of in the secondary hull. See, since it has so many freaking windows, there's going to be spots in there you're going to have to just kind of chip away at, so you can get, you know, your little stupid little drill bit, whatever, to go through it. And if you've done the refit, then you know about the spotlight issue as far as the 350 on aiming it. Especially this one, there is no pre-hole drilled, but there is a pilot hole to start with. So make sure you go at it at an angle. You're going to have to just imagine with the pylon there. So kind of like the same principle if you've attempted the refit. Also, of course, some of these windows in here, they're oval shaped instead of round. But, you know, good luck finding like a file or something that is this small to kind of like, you know, start a hole and then kind of file into the edge to kind of make it that oval shape. I tried using the same bit and just kind of like easily work it to the side because the plastic is soft and thin. But I snapped, you know, one of these things. By the way, you're going to snap some of these. I've already snapped 4 of them. And the last one I got, I have a little bit of it left, but it's long enough to actually go through the plastic so I can still reuse it. But that's on my last one. That's why I bought extra. But so what I did for as far as the oval ones, I went one size bigger after starting it because, you know, after when you have light shining through it, it's basically about how much, you know, like light that is going to go through it. Because basically the oval shape is 2 windows in one. So then why not just make it bigger? So that's what I kind of cheated on that. So, anyways, I also started the spotlights. You know, kind of drilled them out on the front. But the thing is, on the inside, there's a little tab here. Obviously, that's where the front part's going to sit. So the way I'm thinking about doing it is just go ahead and put the hole through it and start it. And then, after when it's assembled, I'll go back and pre-drill all the way through the piece and just go literally all the way through it. I'll probably just mock it up with like tape or something, and then, you know, just kind of get it fully started. So now we're on like the Paragraphics template on making the windows for here. So I have that kind of in place. I would suggest getting some reference photos just to make sure you aim it just right. There's a little nub on it from when you cut off the Paragraphics. There's no need to follow this down because this is not a permanent piece. It's just used as a guide. So I use that little center nub, lined it with the pie wedge where it's kind of supposed to go, tape it off, and then I just drill starter holes. I don't go all the way through. I just kind of get starter holes, kind of like what they already gave me here. Then I'll remove the tape, and then I'll just continue on. And of course, you know, like with the ovals, same thing. I'll just go one size bigger. So I kind of already did one over there. And I pretty much like it. So I'm going to actually continue the rest of these. And you also get one for when it's on the other end of the saucer and where the rec deck is supposed to be. So keep in mind on which one is supposed to go to where. Use reference photos. Usually the rec deck will be on this side right here. And the one with, looks like just a smaller version of that is on this side. So if you're looking at it this way. Oh yeah. Now there's supposed to be RCS thrusters, of course, for this, and it's not on here. And in order for me to figure out exactly where it's going to go, it'll probably have to be done with decal, and then I'll pre-drill it, just to figure that out. Same thing with with the RCS thrusters for the saucer. On the bottom part, there's some really thick plastic, so I'm probably going to have to figure that out when we get to making the holes for the light and for the navigation lights and the stupid strobes. Basically, we're going to have to sand off these nubs and put it back on top and then kind of figure it out. I mean, you can kind of see it on the bottom saucer. Yeah, sort of on the top. And of course, I already kind of see is we're going to have to get rid of all the nubs and stuff around the edge of the saucer and just going to have to glue it just literally on the lip. But we'll get to that later down. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and try to finish the saucer on here. and then we'll just try to figure out probably the navigation and strobes and that kind of.
Oh, my dumb didn't realize that this entire time I'm recording all this shit without using my mic. I'm using that shit. So if it sounds like shit, it's your fault. Okay. And I'm sure it was kind of loud there because I got a big fan back there because it's hot as. So right now, actually, what I didn't get to do is show you exactly how I do these stupid little windows from start to finish. So I'll just actually go ahead and do one because I have one left other than the odd ones in the back. So obviously you have pie wedges here. Your windows are basically supposed to be in between either an RCS thruster or some type of navigation light. If somehow you have it like you have an RCS and navigation light right in the middle of it, you're in the wrong place. So let that be a lesson. Now on these paragraphic parts, there are two little arrows that point up, which means it goes point up from the saucer. And like I said, I like to use this little tab in the middle to line it up to one of the pie wedges lines. So I'll center it up, making sure it's not in the middle of either an RCS thruster or a navigation light, which it is not. I'll tape it. Kind of look at it, see that the spacing is just right. Confirm that. Then I'll take the smallest little guy, which this one was already broken, but it's long enough to go through the plastic, which is fine. And I'll kind of also hold the piece because as you're going through this thing will want to shift a little bit up and down. So I kind of pinch it in between so it helps hold a little bit. Then I take this and actually I make starter holes. I don't go all the way through. I just make little starter holes. All with the same size. Okay, now I got all my starter holes. I'm going to carefully just remove this because these paragraphic parts are very thin and I don't really want to bend it too much out of shape. Now I got little starter holes here. Don't know if you can see, but it is enough for me to now use it to drill all the way through. So I'll take the smallest size and just do all of them. It don't matter if you go left or right, right to left, up and down, in and out, whatever the you want to do, just drill all the holes. That's it. And this saucer rim is kind of thick, so it's kind of good that this piece broke and I have enough of it left to go all the way through because I can almost guarantee it will break. Because this is thick is probably the thickest plastic to actually do something like this. But yet you need a hole this small. Now, I got all the holes drilled out, but there are 4 oval ones. Just like on the secondary hole and anywhere else, I'm just going to replace that with just one size bigger. Now there's, like I said, there's only 4. There's one on each end. So you start off with one on the end, you skip one, and then go to the next one inside. Go to the end, skip one, and then go on the inside. Now with all that, you're going to not only have a little bit of flash here, you're going to have flash from all the drilling here. So take something, either your fingernail or whatever, or your hobby knife, which I've been using, whether the back end or front, whatever, just kind of clean off some of that crap, because that stuff can actually get right back into the hole, which it's going to anyways. So go back with your same size stuff that you use to make the holes and just push them right back out. No real drilling required, you're just pushing out the flash that may have came back into the hole and cleaning it out. And that's how you do it. So as far as the saucer here, I got all of these ones, so now I got to deal with the 2 on the back. Well, I'm going to do the easy one first. I'll just do the ones that's over on this side. That's nothing but just round holes, not the recreation deck, because those are rectangles. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do about that. We'll get that till we get there. So I'm going to do this one, and then actually I'll probably do the rec deck by just doing pre-holes the same way. I'm not, like I said, I'm not really sure I'm going to do the rectangles. I may just go one size bigger, like they're ovals. I have an idea in my head, so I may actually test one window, and we'll see. So, change the scene. So, here's how I go about dealing with like the RCS thruster lights and like the navigation and strobes, because those are like little nubs. So the easiest way I can actually describe on how to do all of them by just doing one is doing the RCS thrusters, because you have a both of what's really you're not going to see on camera in here, but they have a spot for the RCS thrusters, you know, with it scribed out, and on the edge of the line there are 2 little starter holes. Those would be the 2 actual thrusters, and then on top you have a nub that's for like the light in the center. So what I do is take my hobby knife and I just pluck off that little nub. It's in the middle. A little piece of sandpaper, just to bring it down a little bit. Now, don't want to go too much because you don't want to remove that scribe detail of the RCS thruster, just to get the nub down a little bit. Don't have to go all the way because you're going to re-drill that nub anyways. So, carefully find the 2 that's on the edge that's kind of scribed out. Just go ahead and drill those same through, the same size as using the rest of the windows. Now, a note that where the RCS thrusters are located on this is where the thick plastic is. Notice the fourth thick plastic, so you're gonna have to go pretty far in there. So it's most likely you're gonna break one of these things. So if you do, try to find one that has just enough left over to go through, because it's harder to break when it's smaller. So let's put it that way. So just drill it out. Obviously you'll know when you go all the way through. Now the center one, just got to take it slowly, because a lot of times these things will want to walk in a different direction. So once you get it started though, then just go all the way through. There you go. Clean off a little flash. Of course you're going to have flash on the inside. Now because this plastic's thick, you're going to probably have to re-drill at least one more time to clean it out. Okay, find some light, take a look at it. You should see 3 holes. That's basically kind of how you do it. A couple mods I did, of course, is I removed all the tabs on the inside on both halves of the saucer, because they're going to interfere with, you know, your strobe lights, your navigation lights, and your interior lights. And we're going to glue this. I mean, this is technically a snap tight model, but we're going to glue it, so we don't need those things. Same thing over here. I removed the 4 tabs, which is why there's thick plastic, because that's a snap part, and they're going to be right in the way of where you put the LED for the RCS thrusters. So I'm just removing that, because we're just going to, all we need to do is glue the rim. That's it. Just line it up, glue it, and you're good. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the bullshit drilled out. Basically the RCS thrusters and the navigational thrusters up here, and bridge and that kind of shit. So, and then we'll see what we got to do next. So I got a little bit of a mess. No big deal. So, also, before we move on to the Reliant, which is going to be kind of the same thing as doing this, as you start drilling your holes for your lights, you can kind of get an idea on how you're going to do like your LED and if it's going to interfere. Like for the upper saucer, you know, there's like this lip around here, this ring, kind of a guide, whatever. I went ahead and kind of like hogged out some of it, especially where your navigation and RCS thrusters go, because a lot of these holes where it's supposed to go through, it goes right onto the lip, and it's kind of pointless. So I kind of cleaned them off out of the way and just left enough of it so it can still, you know, hold in place. Plus this one doesn't really interfere with the sensor band area lights, because it's not too high or whatever. So, but like I said, I just hogged out around where the RCS and navigation thrusters go with a Dremel and a little sanding disc. So also with that in mind, as you go around through it, like I also had to do for the secondary hole for the strobe on the back of the fan tail and all that other there's a couple tabs that are part of the snap lock tabs, and you know they're snap lock, like this one here and this one here, them two go together. They're really unnecessary. You can cut them off. I had to do it where the fan tail is on both ends over here, because I have a strobe that's supposed to go here on the bottom of the fan tail, and above the back on top, you know, there's one that's going to block like literally right there. So kind of keep that in mind. But really, like, as far as what you really need to put this thing together is really the edges, because the rest of the stuff you can get rid of. As long as you glue the edges really good, you're fine. I can already see there's gonna be more material I'm gonna have to remove. like right over here, this is where the arboretum is supposed to go, and there's a photo etch arboretum. This thing is going to be in the way, so this thing here has to go bye-bye eventually. And I already got rid of, there's another nub that goes where the impulse engine goes, and I'm going to light that up, so that had to go bye-bye as well. So basically, so as you go, like I said, as you go through it, you know, obviously you know what's going to be lighted up, you know what LEDs you're going to kind of use, you can kind of visualize it on how you're going to want to aim it. I mean, right now I'm thinking about using 5mm bigger ones just for like the navigation and RCS thrusters, because that way it'll take care of the upper and lower, and it's large enough in theory. So yeah, so as far as getting the hole, like the lighting, the holes for the lighting done on here. Oh, one other thing, as far as the RCS thrusters go for this part of the saucer, where the holes go is literally right on the lip over here, so I'm gonna have to wait until the saucer is put together and puttied up where the seam is, and then I'm going to have to go back and put the holes in after, because there's no way I could do it beforehand. I mean, I can like kind of start it here, but then this part of the saucer may cover it up and I'd have to do it again anyway. So as far as the upper goes, you're probably going to have to backtrack. You're actually going to end up having to do a lot of cleaning out with each step, because of course when you putty this up, I'm sure you're going to get some putty or whatever back in there. You're going to have to clean it back out. Same thing with paint too. You're going to have to clean it back out. So keep that in mind. You're going to be using this a lot and in places you've already done before quite a few times. That's how I see it's going to be. Like I said earlier, can't really do the RCS on this guy yet. Don't fall back here, you fucker. That's not good. And I know there's RCS thrusters that go on, that's on the fantail, but there's no way to do that. So it is what it is on that, because that's just thin plastic. It's impossible to put a light there. So I guess right now we're gonna move on to do this same type of thing, but we're going on to the Reliant. Monkey piss. If you just got through the window part on the Enterprise one, now we get to deal with this one. This one's different. This one, there is no, you know, like not pre-drilled, but a place where you can see where the windows are other than the saucer. This whole thing has none of that, where you really going to have to use this a lot. There's a lot of templates here, but it's really just mainly all on here. I mean, I see a couple spots here where it's just like where a navigation light is, but it's pretty much all here. So I think the best way to do is just to pick a side here. Now there's none on the bottom that I can see, which is kind of odd. I think I need to kind of go look back at Wrath of Khan or whatever, in the open and shot, look underneath it, because I swear it had the same light pattern here, but it doesn't have it on this model kit. If so, I'll have to recreate it, but for now it's do what we have here on the photo etch parts. I think the best thing to do first is what I'm already accustomed to, and that's the sensor band, or the saucer edge really. This one here, let me just go ahead and cut it out. This one has just fewer holes. So, and I'm sure the placement is kind of the same. You know, don't put it on in like dead center in front of a thruster or a nav light. So in this case, it would start here. No need to clean off the edges because it's not an attached part. It's just a template. Pretty much looks like half of it's a template. So, of course, just like before, stick it on. Go ahead. It has a little arrow that tells you up. So let me center it. And just so you know, I'm kind of like taking the lip of the photo edge and kind of like making it flush to the bottom of the saucer. Just because this, of course, has like on the Enterprise one, has a lip here. And I want to make sure there's enough clearance for the light in here. So, again, just like the Enterprise one, attach it like this. Take your little thing here, kind of pre-drill. And what I'm kind of doing with the oval shape ones, I'm kind of like trying to go like center as I can, even though it wants to walk a little bit. It almost seems like these holes are just a hair smaller. They are a hair smaller, huh? Well, it looks like I'm going to end up breaking one, so let's swap this out. Good thing we noticed that right now. It's like, hey, why is that tight? So, hair smaller, which would be this guy. And it's already kind of pre-broken, so that helps a little bit. I guess. What I'll probably do is actually go back one size up, because these ones are really small. Yeah, these ones are a lot smaller than the Enterprise one. But kind of keep the whole plan the same. Pre-drill. Move tape. Save tape, save part. Go all the way through. Remember, the saucer edge plastic is like the thickest. So it's going to take a little more time. So of course now I got to use a thinner bit. It can break, which is why I chose already one that's pre-broken, so it'll be harder to break. Not as flexy. But we'll go back and make it larger, just like the Enterprise ones. So we'll take actually 3 bits, really. 1 to go through, and 2 to make larger. Okay, now to make them all larger again. 1 size up. Should be able to do this by hand. Yeah. Now, go even larger again. If I can find my larger bit that I used before, which should be right here, but it's not. What the hell happened to it? Oh, because it's right here. So I'm using, of course, the larger one for whatever would have been an oval window, which would be exactly the same on the Enterprise, which is the farthest one out, then skip one, and then it's the next one on both the left and right side. Okay. Clean the flash. Just just like on the Enterprise and the Flash. Re-drill out everything. Clean the flash that was in the thing. Check it in the light, see how that looks. So it should probably look something like that, if you can even see it. So I'm going to take care of the sensor band. Well, actually the sensor, you know, the saucer edge. I'll also kind of like do the, you know, the navigation and RCS thrusters, just like also like on the Enterprise. Just, you know, knock off the nub while you see it. Pre-drill the hole in its place. Of course, I still have this mini one on here, so I'm going to have to re-drill it again. But let's just get it started and punch through. So it's just like this. Clean off junk. Give us another little punch just in case. All right. So same thing on like how to do, you know, the nav lights, and kind of have to look around, like look for matching nubs. Like I can see one right here, so I'm thinking that's going to be one, and over here, and I see them up here too, so I think that's what they're going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of the saucer edge, and then we'll figure out whether if we want to do this or whatever. So let me get this part done. So that was pretty long and intense of drilling the holes out for the Reliant, for not only all the windows but much as the lighting as possible. And I mean by as possible because kind of went back and rewatched the Wrath of Khan, mainly for the Endon Mutara Nebula scenes, because there's a lot of angles you see on the Reliant on there, so that kind of helps. So let's just start off on what's been done. So we'll go to the lower part of the saucer hull, whatever you want to call it. Over here on the bottom, this kit does not have the light-in that goes around here. It's the same pattern as the Enterprise, but luckily part of the paragraphic set has the template for that, which is this little U-shaped right here. It basically just goes, if you don't drop it. Again, I like to leave the little nubs to help line stuff up. You know, goes like that all around the phaser. Look at a reference photo, or if you actually are doing the same thing I am with the Enterprise at the same time, you can look at that as a guide. But that's what this little U-shaped 4 is, to actually bring those in. Still blows my mind that they didn't even try to, you know, at least pre-drill the holes like they did for the Enterprise, but not for this one. Of course, got all the window detail along the saucer's edge, or saucer hull edge. Then there's over here on this side, well, it's actually for both sides, okay, let me find it. I believe it's this one. No. So for this front half and over here, you use this little doohickey, and it just lines up like so, like this. And then to do the other side, you just use the same piece, but you just flip it in the opposite direction. And on the back over here is this square looking one. Goes over here, flip it for the opposite side. And then of course there's, you know, all the navigational lights and RCS thrusters, just like on the Enterprise. And of course in here I had to do some removing of some pegs, basically all around in here. I had to clean up a lot of it. The only ones I left on here are really these two pegs on the back, because it doesn't look like it's interfering with anything. So now we can go on to the upper part of the saucer hull, and on that is for over here, you use for the fatter ends over here, this little doohickey lines up right here, flip it for the opposite. And then on the inner one is this little wedgy looking thing. Same thing, flip it for the opposite. Same drill and pattern as been doing the whole thing. Obviously these holes are just like literally just a small little pubic hair smaller than the Enterprise one, so I had to of course use a smaller bit just to pre-drill, and then I upped it again to the same size as I used to the Enterprise one, and then use the next size up from that to do what would be oval or lined shaped windows. And there's another one which I don't see here, I probably put it away. There's a curved one that goes for the BC deck all around here. You just put it on there and pre-drill that one. That one's like the easiest one. And of course there's all the holes for the RCS and the navigation. Over here there's supposed to be 4-1 for on the ends and next to the impulse crystal. This one actually had to do a little more hogging out. Not only for the snap type clips had to be gone, and the posts had to be gone, and I also had to do hogging out of this lip here where any RCS thrusters or navigational lights are going to be. Same thing for over here, because there's a big chunk that blocks a lot of the light in over here. And also in the corner over here, I just took my hobby knife and trimmed right here, because these nav lights are like right in the middle of that, so I had to remove that. So basically, yeah, that's what I got so far on this part. Also rewatching The Wrath of Khan, I've noticed on the, I don't know what's the right name for it, I'm just going to call it the wing, or the spoiler or whatever. Up on the top of it, where you have the phaser cannons, there's a steady light on top of both of them. So I went ahead and just kind of pre-drilled it. You can't see it, but it's like right there towards the front where it meets the wing. I'll show it to you right here in a screenshot. And if you notice on the bottom of it, underneath the wing in the center section, there are two, looks like spotlights or whatever. So I made those right here. Luckily they passed the two posts in here, so I could preserve that. So that's about as far as I got as making holes for windows and lights. I think there's going to be more, but I'm going to tackle that as I go just to make sure. But these ones are definite. So what I'm thinking, other than I'm going to end this video right here just showing off where we're at. So the next video, let's just get on to definitely some light blocking, that's for sure, and just kind of getting the other pieces prepped, kind of like dry fitted, seeing if there's going to be any issues, if I have to do some modifications early on. But basically that's where we're going to be at for the next two, for the Enterprise and this one here. So hopefully you'll be back for the next one, and we'll get this thing knocked out. So that's all I gotta say about that. So, off.